The rain came down hard that night, a relentless downpour that seemed to wash away the noise of the city, leaving only the rhythmic patter of raindrops as a soundtrack to the solitude. The streets, usually bustling with life, were eerily quiet, making the city feel lonelier than ever, as if the rain had driven everyone into hiding. I left the office late, my mind clouded with deadlines and the weight of unfinished tasks, only to find a soaked note tucked under my windshield wiper, its presence unexpected and intriguing. Expecting a ticket, I braced myself for the usual frustration until I read the words, "Thank you. You saved me." The ink was smudged, but the message was clear, and it hit me like a bolt of lightning. My heart pounded in my chest. Saved you? From what? The question echoed in my mind, demanding answers that I didn't have. I scanned the empty street, the rain pounding on my umbrella, my mind racing with possibilities. Who could have left this note, and why? The handwriting was elegant, almost artistic, the message simple yet heavy with meaning. It was as if the note carried the weight of an untold story. I tried to remember. Had I done something, helped someone? My mind sifted through recent memories, searching for a connection. Then, a memory surfaced. A woman in a doorway, a bag of warm food in her hands, her eyes meeting mine with a silent gratitude that I'd almost forgotten. The note felt heavier than paper, a message from a life that had brushed against mine, leaving an indelible mark on my soul. I stood in the rain, the city's noise fading into the background, the world suddenly feeling bigger and more mysterious than it had just moments before. This note had torn a hole in my ordinary evening, leaving me with a sense of wonder and a tinge of worry. What had I stumbled into? Who was she? Why did her words feel less like a thank you and more like a goodbye? The questions lingered, unanswered, in the damp night air. The mystery had just begun, a puzzle waiting to be solved, a story waiting to be told. As I walked away, the rain continued to fall, each drop a reminder of the unknown paths that lay ahead. About a month ago, on another rainy night, I found myself walking home, the city lights blurred by the steady drizzle. As I hurried along, eager to escape the cold, I noticed her, huddled in the alcove of a closed bookstore, seeking shelter from the relentless rain. She was wrapped in a thin, worn blanket, her knees drawn up to her chest, trying to stay warm against the chill that seeped into the concrete. The world rushed by, umbrellas bobbing, but she remained still, almost invisible to the passing crowd. For a brief moment, our eyes met. It was just a second, but in that instant, I saw her, not as a stranger or a problem to be solved, but as a fellow human being, enduring a night that felt endless. I saw not a problem, but a person, someone who was cold, hungry, and utterly alone. Her gaze was tired, but there was a quiet dignity in the way she held herself, even as the world ignored her. I kept walking, my footsteps echoing on the wet pavement. But with every step, a growing sense of guilt tugged at me, urging me to turn back. I hesitated, torn between my own comfort and the urge to do something, anything, to help. Finally I ducked into a nearby diner, the warmth and light a stark contrast to the cold outside. I ordered a hot meal, something simple, but nourishing, and waited as it was packaged up, my mind replaying the image of her sitting alone in the rain. Returning to the bookstore alcove, I knelt on the wet pavement, the rain soaking through my jeans. I offered her the food, my hand trembling slightly, not from the cold, but from the uncertainty of how she might react. There were no words exchanged, no expectations or obligations, just a simple act. A meal shared between two strangers, brought together by circumstance and compassion. In that silent moment, something unspoken passed between us. I left her, with the meal, glancing back as she unwrapped it, her face illuminated by the glow of a nearby street lamp. I felt a quiet connection, a sense that, for a brief time, our lives had intersected in a meaningful way. It was a small gesture. But as I walked away, I realized it had shifted something inside me. The city felt a little less cold, a little less indifferent. I carried that feeling with me, reflecting on how even the smallest acts of kindness can ripple outward. I never knew her name or her story. We were just two people whose paths crossed for a moment on a rainy night, but in that fleeting encounter, I was reminded of our shared humanity, the invisible threads that connect us all, even in the busiest city streets. As I continued on my way, the rain still falling, I thought that was the end of it, just a single act, a memory to carry with me. I never expected to hear from her again. But life has a way of surprising us, and I soon learned that even the briefest connections can leave a lasting impact. I was wrong to think our story ended there. Back in the present, the note in my hand, I needed to see her again. I drove to the old bookstore's alcove, her usual spot. The corner was empty, no box, no blanket, nothing. It was as if she'd vanished. I searched the block, asked a street vendor, no one had seen her. The note, now, felt ominous. Was it a final thank you before she disappeared? I stood in the rain, the city indifferent, the mystery deepening. I had to find her. I couldn't give up. The next morning, I couldn't focus on work. I took the day off to search. I visited shelters, described her, showed the note. No one recognized her. The city felt impossibly large. I talked to people on the street. Some knew her as Eleanor, quiet, kept to herself. But no one had seen her for days. Desperate, I called hospitals asking for a Jane Doe or Eleanor. Most had no answers, privacy policies, no information. One nurse at the city hospital paused, asked me to describe her again. I told her about the note, the meal, my worry. After a long silence, the nurse said, "I think you should come down here. There's something you need to see." The hospital was sterile and bright, a world away from the streets. The hum of fluorescent lights echoed off the polished floors, and the air was tinged with antiseptic, a place where time seemed to slow, and every footstep felt heavy with meaning. I remember the way my shoes squeaked as I walked, the distant beeping of monitors, and the quiet urgency that filled the halls. It was a place of both hope and heartbreak, where lives changed in an instant. Nurse Maria met me, sadness in her eyes. Her face was kind, but her expression told me more than words ever could. She had seen so much: joy, loss, and everything in between. In that moment, I could sense the weight she carried, the stories she held close to her heart. She greeted me softly, her voice gentle, as if she already knew the news would be hard to bear. She led me to a small office, not a patient's room. The walk felt endless, each step echoing with uncertainty. The office was quiet, a stark contrast to the bustling corridors outside. There was a small table, 2 chairs, and a box of tissues, details that suddenly felt significant. I realized this was a space for difficult conversations, a place where lives were changed. With a few words. "Eleanor Vance," she said, "brought in 3 nights ago. Pneumonia. We did everything we could. Eleanor was gone." The words hung in the air, heavy and final. I felt the world tilt, the reality settling in. Maria's voice was steady, but I could hear the compassion behind every syllable. She explained how Eleanor had fought bravely, how the staff had done all they could, but sometimes even the best care isn't enough. Maria handed me a sealed envelope for the kind man. Her hands trembled slightly as she passed it to me, and I could see the emotion in her eyes. She told me it was from Eleanor's daughter, a message meant for me. I held the envelope, feeling its weight, knowing it contained something precious. Inside was a letter from Eleanor's daughter. The paper was soft, the handwriting careful and deliberate. I unfolded it slowly, my heart pounding, unsure of what I would find. The words were filled with gratitude, pain, and love, a daughter reaching out to a stranger who had touched her family's life. She wrote that my meal gave Eleanor the strength to reconnect with her family. She described how, after that simple act of kindness, her mother found the energy to speak, to laugh, and to share memories that had been locked away for years. That meal, she said, was more than just food. It was hope, a reminder that kindness can change the course of a life, even in its final days. That one act gave them a final week together, a week filled with stories, forgiveness, and love. They gathered around Eleanor's bed, holding her hands, sharing laughter and tears. The family found healing in those moments, a chance to say goodbye, to make peace with the past, and to cherish the present. It was a gift they never expected, and one they would never forget. Eleanor passed away surrounded by love, not alone. Her final moments were filled with warmth, her family by her side, holding her close. She left this world knowing she was cherished, her legacy carried on in the hearts of those she loved. It was a peaceful passing, a gentle farewell, made possible by a simple act of kindness. The note on my car was from her daughter, a thank you for giving her mother dignity and for giving her back, if only for a little while. She wrote that my kindness had restored her faith in humanity, that it had shown her the power of compassion in the darkest of times. The note was short, but its meaning was profound. It was a reminder that even the smallest gestures can have a lasting impact. Tears streamed down my face, a mix of sorrow and quiet joy. I sat in my car, overwhelmed by emotion, grateful for the chance to make a difference, even if only for a moment. The pain of loss was softened by the knowledge that love endures, that kindness matters, and that sometimes the simplest acts can change a life forever. I left the hospital changed. Grief lingered, but so did a sense of purpose. Eleanor's story showed me the ripple of a single act. I began volunteering at the shelter, serving meals, listening to stories. I saw the people behind the circumstances, teachers, parents, artists. I started a foundation in Eleanor's name, Eleanor's Light. We created kindness kits, essentials and handwritten notes. The goal offered dignity and connection. I shared Eleanor's story everywhere. The foundation grew. More volunteers, more donations. The empty corner became a symbol, not of loss, but of new beginnings. My grief became fuel, a reminder of the impact one life can have. It all started with a note on a rainy night. That note led me through mystery, loss, and discovery. Kindness is never wasted. It's a seed that grows, even if you never see the tree. Eleanor's story proved the power of connection. We live in a disconnected world, But the smallest act can change everything. Her legacy lives on in every kindness kit, every volunteer, every person who chooses to see. We have the power to save each other in small ways, every day. So next time, don't hesitate. Buy the coffee, share your meal, offer a smile. You may never know the impact, but your ripple will travel further than you imagine. That is the legacy of kindness, a light that keeps spreading from one person to the next.
What's something people don't know about stories? They never truly end. There's always a new adventure waiting for you. Just pick your next tale and I'll meet you there. Subscribe to the Story Circle and let me know which story I should tell next in the comments.